Merry Christmas! Oh man, I'm gonna have to toggle the DLive thing. Hang tight, guys. I see Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Twitch even. But let me just toggle DLive. Presumably, I am streaming on the TalkStream Live, as you all know. If you listen to the beginning of my show every day. And, of course, JLP Live. What's up? Let's see. Is it going? Is it going? Is it gonna do it? Those of you on DLive, press 1 if you see me. I know the rest of you guys see me, I'm quite sure, right? Where's the suit? I am wearing my Fallen State. Oh, what's up, DLive? I am wearing a Fallen State t-shirt. Very nice t-shirt. You can get yours by going to rebuildingtheman.com/stores. Merry Christmas, brother. Appreciate you joining. So, you can call in. Some of you already are. 888-775-3773. We'll do a nice loosey-goosey Christmas Eve Hake report stream. I don't plan on streaming on Christmas Day. Although, you know, you never know. You never know. Definitely not from here, though. There's no chance that I'm going to even take the chance of asking, Joel, you want to go in the studio? No! I'm sorry. Just kidding. Imagine. Or Nico. Hey, Nico. And then I point with my lips to the studio. You want to go to the studio? You're like, no. Was that drop loud enough for you guys? He did a Joel did a drop. It came in a little quiet for me. Let me press 1 if it was loud enough. Press 2 if it was too loud. Press 3 if that was too quiet. You guys see me? That's funny. But I do have some things to talk about today. Trump vetoes the NDAA. That's the National Defense Authorization Act or something like that. Keeps the Pentagon open, supposedly, like we really want it open. It's filled with a bunch of dumb liberals who are enemies of Trump and America. But anyway, but mainly because of Section 230 and things, our great base military installations like Fort Hood, which has been the site of major problems, or purported problems, right? President Trump's pardons, I see them as a defense of men. Yeah. Except for that nonviolent drug crime pardons and commutations and things like that. The nonviolent drug crime stuff, I don't see that as a defense of men. Bad news for America. I will finally get to it. I almost promise. Women rising in power. Black women, too. And it's still not enough. Oh, my gosh. And pro-abortion Democrats, I may touch on that. And headlines on the vote, a possible Georgia delay. By the way, I think the Georgia Secretary of State wants, is it Georgia? I think he wants something changed where people are voting absentee without any excuse at all, no reason that they really need to be voting absentee, right? He wants to get rid of that excuse. He's giving like lip service, in my opinion, to voter integrity. I don't know. And I have people on hold as well. So all that and your calls, but let's get on with the show.
Have you been naughty or nice?
It's the Hake Report. La, la, la. It's the Hake Report. La, la, la.
Hey, guys!
The Hake Report. La, la, la. It's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
So, what's up, everybody? How are you doing? Craig B says, hello, Hake, hello, Craig. Somebody in DLive, send a chat. I'm not seeing your chats in my talks. Let me quit my restream chat and then restart it up again. Because I want to make sure that I'm seeing the DLive chats. I had to toggle it off and on, and let me just see if this will work this time. Sometimes it just doesn't connect properly. I'll just have to pull that up separately, maybe. But guys, let me give you a quick update. In the end of Hake News, at the end of hour 2 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show, I got kind of cut off there. It was a little awkward. So I wanted to share with you what's going on with that. One America News Network. Hey, guys, you proud of me? I'm checking One America News Network now. Goodbye, Drudge. The CDC report, a CDC report, according to One America News Network, shows that the mainstream media, they put MSM, which is an alt-right dog whistle. Just kidding. And the WHO, World Health Organization, the corrupt UN's evil WHO, are misinterpreting COVID-19 data, specifically the death toll data. And I read a quote from a lady who's purportedly, she's a coroner in Grand County, Colorado, that in one case, they were actually gunshot wounds. Gunshot wounds. People had tested earlier in the month for COVID, and because they did have a COVID, their state health department is listing them as COVID deaths. And maybe it is, there's like always these liberals and intellectuals and what Jesse Lee Peterson calls Bible thumpers. I sometimes call them Bible pushers. And anybody who's into lies has some rationalization that makes their lie sound like it might be true, right? For example, I told you about a motorcycle death. And maybe this wasn't an outright lie, right? This guy, 53 or 57 years old, got in a motorcycle crash. I think it was in a southern state. And they never show you a picture of these people who die, right? Who die supposedly of COVID. Sometimes they do. And oftentimes they're fat, overweight, seemingly unhealthy. And that is a major contributor to dying, right? And COVID, I guess, is too, right? But it's a bad combination to be fat or unhealthy and get this COVID thing, I think. I guess. It's what I'm told. But they don't really mention that part. And so this guy got pneumonia. This 50-something-year-old guy who got in a motorcycle crash, went to the hospital, and got pneumonia. And they called it COVID pneumonia, right? And so people were saying, including the governor of Florida, the great, I think, Governor Ron DeSantis. He referenced this motorcycle death being counted as a COVID death. But the supposed medical examiner claimed, but he got COVID pneumonia or something like that. COVID pneumonia, I think, is what he said. I'd never heard of COVID pneumonia before, but okay. Does that mean pneumonia and COVID? I don't know. It's weird. I know pneumonia is very serious, right? Can people, especially if they're old or sick or at risk, die of pneumonia, right? It might be even more deadly than the coronavirus thing. I don't know. But she talked about somebody who got shot, this Brenda Bach woman. And this is from One America News Network, OANN.com, if you want to look it up for yourself. The CDC's Vital Statistics Reporting Guidance Report doesn't provide much clarity, including defining the underlying cause of death as either the disease or injury which initiated the train of morbid events that leading directly to the death, or the circumstances of the accident or violence which produced the fatal injury. It's just kind of interesting. We all suspect that the numbers are overblown, right? So they said from February through the first 3 weeks of December, this is One American News reporting, right? there were 411,477 deaths due to either pneumonia, influenza, coronavirus, or some combination thereof. Of these, 288,287 deaths were coded as diagnosed and confirmed COVID-caused deaths, COVID-19, right? Nearly 140,000, however, were said to have been possibly or probably due to COVID-19, and thus received ICD-10 designation, which is a separate designation, right? They have two different things. In light of the overlap, mainstream media outlets have been reporting even higher death tolls than the 288,000. For example, on Monday, when the CDC had less than 290,000, the New York Times, failing New York Slimes, reported 323,002 deaths. On that same day, NBC reported 323,012, and CNN reported 322,765. So none of these people are following the same standard, and they're like adding 30,000 or more than 30,000. 33, 34,000. Interesting, huh? Despite repeated warnings from the CDC posted all over their website and included in their data sets, the media has taken these numbers and used them to fit their agenda, including perpetuating theories that doctors have begun to pick and choose whom to treat to try and keep the death toll down. Huh. Didn't Jesse Lee Peterson tell you? And President Trump, I think, has said this. But they're like, no, you're only supposed to follow the what the World Health Organization says. But purportedly, the World Health Organization is not even accurate. And didn't they get in trouble for corruption over the years? Like flying on money that's not meant to be used for flying and traveling and expensive stuff? Living high on the hog, as they say? These people. Anyway, I'm really happy that President Trump vetoed this NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. And I have some of the text from it. This is a headline from the Washington Compost that Joel was showing to you. And there's also a liberal take from the Esquire. And those people are so dishonest. Both of those people. There's President Trump. Dang, looking like a man. But he wrote, I am returning without my approval the National Defense Authorization Act. Unfortunately, the act fails to include critical national security measures. It includes provisions that, this is President Trump talking, includes provisions that fail to respect our veterans and our military's history. Nice. Isn't it nice to have a president who stands up for our history, including the Confederates? And contradicts the efforts by my administration to put America first. America first, as President Trump said, in our national security and foreign policy actions. It is a gift, quote unquote, gift to China and Russia, President Trump said. Nice. No one has worked harder or approved more more money for the military than I have. Over $2 trillion, President Trump said. During my 4 years, with the support of many others, we have almost entirely rebuilt the United States military, which was totally depleted when I took office. And I know that the neocons have said that same thing, too. You know, the conservatives and establishment Republican types and everything. It was even in Dinesh D'Souza's movie, 2016, Obama's America. He pointed out how President Obama, the worst president, left us kind of weak with the nuclear stuff and everything. He said, your failure, he referring to this Congress or Senate, whatever, this NDAA people who passed this, large bipartisan support, which means rhinos and Democrats. Your failure to terminate the very dangerous national security risk of Section 230 will make our intelligence virtually impossible to conduct without everyone knowing what we are doing at every step. Nice. The act, that's interesting. I think it might have to do with these ridiculous leaks from the mainstream media because they hate President Trump so badly, and there are traitors inside of the government who will leak to the mainstream media, and they'll put out information that President Trump doesn't want out. You know, he's complained about leaks, right? That's a national security problem. Interesting. I wonder if that's what he's referring to. The act fails even to make any meaningful changes to Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which was a 1996 law about, I guess, the internet, protecting internet platforms from being sued for content that is posted by individuals like us or you or anybody else, any old liberal or conservative, America friend or enemy of America, might post something on the platform that people don't like or is evil or something, and it's protecting them from liability, from being sued or whatever for content on their platform. He wants to repeal that. Nice. Section 230, he says, facilitates the spread of foreign disinformation. You know, there are domestic enemy disinformation people too, right? For sure. Which is a serious threat to our national security and election integrity. It must be repealed. And that is so true. Additionally, the act includes language that would require renaming of certain military installations. And I think he's referring to the Confederate named bases like Fort Hood. There are many Confederate bases that are like, everybody knows the name. Everybody knows the name Fort Hood. I first learned about Fort Hood because of a terror attack upon Fort Hood. And then I've heard about it more recently because there's a Me Too movement going against Fort Hood right now, too, from the government. Over the course of the United States history, these locations have taken on significance to the American story. Yeah. And to those who helped write it, that far transcends their namesakes. And their namesakes are great. Anyways, I say, my administration respects the legacy of the millions of American servicemen and women, he says, who have served with honor at these military bases. They're changing the names for social justice kiss-up reasons. It's just like getting rid of the Confederate flag, all for nothing. You hear Jesse Lee Peterson and Joel making the point, what good is this renaming things going to do, or taking down these monuments, or taking down the Confederate flag for these out-of-control, victim-minded blacks? Nothing. It's just going to kiss up to their egos and make them push for more destruction of white symbols, what they call white symbols, because they hate America and themselves. But anyway, he says, my administration respects the legacy of millions of these people who served with honor at these military bases from these locations, have fought, bled, and died for their country. It's going to be so confusing. Fort Hood turns into Fort Harriet Tubman or something dumb like that, right? Or Fort G.I. Jane. Give me a break. And they're going to have an asterisk and say, oh, this was actually called Fort Hood before. It's so ridiculous. You hear people referring to Bruce Jenner as, what's the Bruce Jenner's new name? Caitlyn Jenner. And they'll refer to stuff. I'm just taking him as an example, but they'll take this, say something that he did in the past, like he won the Olympics in the decathlon in the 80s or 90s, right? Fort Rosa Parks. And then they'll say, oh, she won the decathlon for men. And it's so confusing. Why would you change the name just to kiss up to your delusions? Ridiculous. He said, from these facilities, we have won 2 world wars. Well, some of you guys might dispute that. I have been clear in my opposition to politically motivated attempts like this to wash away history and dishonor the immense progress our country has fought for in realizing our founding principles, which is kind of a kiss up to the civil rights movement and stuff like that. And, yeah. But still, he's making a point about unite America, not rejecting half of America. Like the beautiful South, which is being scapegoated right now by evil people who hate whites and hate America. They hate America. They're enemies of America. And the rhinos, the bipartisan rhinos and Democrats who overwhelmingly passed this NDAA are kissing up to it. So the liberal take on this Trump's veto, and then I will get to calls. Esquire headline says, Trump vetoes the NDAA, citing Confederate base names in Section 230. The headline was retitled, The President's, with an asterisk. They put the president with an asterisk because they hate Trump that badly. They want to pretend, oh, he's not the real president. Joe Biden is our real. I don't know what they're getting at with that, but they put an asterisk there because they hate. It's full of hate. That's Esquire. Esquire is a female outlet, right? Female liberal, I think. The president's rage and lust for vengeance will not be contained. They're the ones who have lust for vengeance towards President Trump in America. What is it but vengeance to rename the Confederate bases? That's vengeance. That's revenge against the South. Those were great Confederate generals, I think. And they said some Republicans seem to believe they could be even now. I don't know what they're talking about. But that's an article by this guy called Charles P. Pierce. And he cites the Washington Compost, the far left, Jeff Bezos, Amazon owner blog, which he bought, Washington Post, Killing America in Darkness. Our real President Trump's made what they call a seeming reference to instructions that the Defense Department change the name of installations commemorating Confederate leaders. Its mandate to the Pentagon to rename 10 military installations bearing names that honor the Confederacy. Why shouldn't the Confederacy be honored? That's part of America. Silly. And it's such revisionist history to just lie and smear and call the South traitors when they were trying to get away from America, right? They wanted to get away from the overbearing federal government. And yeah, they wanted to keep slavery. What's wrong with that? Deal with the evil in the moment, because when you try to deal with it later, everybody remembers it differently. And when people have died, generations have died since then, we really don't know what really happened. Because think about how the fake news is with regard to what's going on right now. Think about how if they become the so-called history writers, it's going to be completely false, whatever they write about how Trump's presidency, for example, or the so-called alt-right, or the so-called new right, and all that stuff. It's just false smears. And here's an example. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. That's the one that prevents Facebook and Twitter and Google and YouTube from getting sued for discrimination against conservatives, right? Whatever. Trump, quote, excoriated lawmakers for failing to include an unrelated repeal of a law granting liability protections to technology companies that Trump has accused without significant evidence of anti-conservative bias. That's somebody writing in the Washington Compost, saying that there's no significant evidence that there's an anti-conservative bias in these social media companies. Yeah, right, you stupid liars. Also, Trump's insistence that the defense bill becomes a vehicle to repeal Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which protects companies from bearing legal responsibility for content third parties post on their websites, becoming a breaking point when the president and congressional Republicans, during the final days of negotiations over the legislation, Trump views the repeal as a way to punish social media companies like Facebook, Google, and Twitter. And why would he want to punish them? It's very deceptively written. He wants to hold them accountable. They're supposed to be American companies benefiting from American freedom, imposing and taking away Americans' freedoms. And, by the way, lying and betraying America and smearing President Trump and supporting the Democrats. That's what they do. They support Black Lives Matter. They support the Me Too movement, which somebody tweeted, a black lady actually tweeted, and she was right, that the Me Too movement, which is women and gays accusing men of sexual stuff against them, right? That's the Me Too movement. Was just created to harass conservatives. And that's true. It's an attack on men, though. All of them. But it's very selectively enforced. Yeah, they'll get it. They'll do a little bit of lip service against Jeffrey Epstein or Bill Cosby, who I consider to be pretty liberal. Or what's that guy? The Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, they'll do that. But, or what's that guy's name who was in House of Cards? Kevin Spacey. But really, look at what they did to Roy Moore based on accusations, hearsay. Or look at what they did to Brett Kavanaugh. Ridiculous. So that's the mainstream media, enemies of America. Anyway, guys, I got to get to some calls and read some super chats. Noah's Ark, Kansas with the diamond says, Merry Christmas, Hake. Thank you. Thank you to Jesse Lee Peterson, hosting the Hake Report on DLive. Appreciate you. I don't see any of the DLive chats in my Restream chat. I had to toggle it off and on because every now and then it won't connect, right? And so I toggle it in the Restream thing, off and on, and then I don't see it. So I have to go and look at what you guys say. Why blame all men? Says Joe Palham. It's a good question. Peter from Periscope with a diamond says, if Hake had to lead a prayer, what would he say? Shudder to think. No, sometimes I've done nice prayers. But I'll have to think about that one, Peter from Periscope. Thank you. Jordano C gave a diamond and said, ask Earl what he thinks about the stimulus package, $600. Ledge Klinger gave a diamond and said, do you think the standard of journalism is gone? No, not completely. Just amongst so many. There are journalists, some of them are blind, brainwashed liberals, atheists and stuff, whom there's one in particular that I consider to be still American. Many of them I do not even consider to be American in spirit, right, in values. And this guy, Michael Tracy's the one I'm thinking about. I consider him an American. Even though he's blind and brainwashed and liberal, I think he's still American. I may elaborate on that later. But I think of him as an honest journalist. I know where he stands on the politics. He's quite clear about his preferences, right? And it's just interesting to see what he thinks. And sometimes he's like nasty and dismissive and overreacts sometimes to things that Trump does and stuff. Like everybody does. So many. But in general, yeah, I would say the standard of journalism is gone. I think the Epoch Times is pretty close to it. 373 gave a diamond. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. And thank you to the supporters on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Let me get to some callers. Cody in Sacramento wants to talk about the election. Cody, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Hake?
Fine. How are you?
Good. I was kind of enlightened by reviewing Revolver News today that, you can bet on anything in Vegas. And if you bet on Joe Biden winning the election, you will not get paid out until January 20th.
That makes sense. That makes total sense to me. It sounds like the Vegas people are living in reality. Yeah.
Yeah, like they kind of have some skin in the game.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for the tip on that.
Yeah. I'm also just a little bit disappointed in our president, Mr. Trump. I would really like to see him immediately start pardoning people like our savior hero, Kyle John Wick Rittenhouse. I think that would really send a message to the people that, hey, you've got another month of me being in office to stand up for yourself, and I will not let you down. And I'd really like to see him take
Can he do that before he's convicted? I guess he can, right?
Yeah, because when Nixon was getting investigated,
yeah,
he stepped down, and then his successor pardoned him for any crimes known or not known that had been committed already.
Nice. Okay, you're right. Yeah, that would be awesome. There are others that people want him to pardon too, like the WikiLeaks guy, Julian Assange, the guy who exposed
Every Proud Boy.
What's that? The Proud Boys?
Every Proud Boy that is punched a commie in their face.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You mentioned the Proud Boys. Hold that thought, Cody. There are complaints that the Proud Boys get special treatment from the cops, like the cops give preferential treatment to the Proud Boys, right? But you get treated how you act, right? You get treated if you come breaking with intent to break the law, which the Proud Boys generally do not. That's the main part. But the other thing is, Proud Boys love America, generally. They love cops, generally. And they are decent guys. They're not going to attack innocent people. They're going to fight back against Antifa. You know, those Proud Boys who go on the street.
If you don't love everybody, you love nobody.
Yeah.
And the Proud Boys love the world. There's chapters in Africa. They love freedom. They want the best for everybody, even Antifa. Antifa just hates everything. It starts with themselves. Yep. They hate themselves. They hate their body. They want to chop off their body parts. They want other people to hate their bodies. They hate their hair color. It's not blue. It's not green.
Right. It's so deceptive because those communists talk all nice, like, oh, we're fighting against racism and hate, and these people are the racists. And I was talking about Trump's pardons of the Blackwater. I'm going to get to that, but Trump pardoned some Blackwater guys, right? They're veterans who in Iraq several years or more than 10 years ago, maybe, they allegedly massacred some unarmed civilians, right, in Iraq and in Baghdad while they were protecting some people. And it must have been some type of confusion because I don't see any veteran or Blackwater guys who are mentally well massacring innocent civilians. But it's caricatured as they massacred innocent civilians, including murdering a 9-year-old boy, right? I'm like, I'm not going to listen to a word that there's this communist woman, and I know she's communist because she was formerly part of the Human Rights Watch. Anything with human rights in the name is communist. And so I'm not going to believe what that woman says. So she says, she listed off, oh, this 9-year-old boy was murdered. And people wonder why they hate us, meaning the Muslim, some of these Muslim countries, many of the people hate America, right? And people have validated the hatred towards America because of America's meddling in their country. And I understand that, but I told her, keep justifying hate. Because that's all she's doing. She's justifying hatred towards America, pretending to stand up for an innocent boy who's already been killed, right? Innocent Iraqi boy.
There's no way that fine young country boy that went to serve the military and just knowing his parents and reading about him, there's no way he was sitting there thinking, I'm just going to kill myself a 9-year-old because I hate these brown-skinned people over here. Yeah. He was in a stressful situation.
Yep.
He might not have even shot him, and nobody was a witness there. I mean, it's a travesty, and I really just wish Trump would understand how miserable these people's lives are while they're in prison.
Yeah.
And just get them out today. Like, just declare, like, war against the left by just pardoning everybody that they hate.
Yeah.
Anybody convicted in the Ninth Circuit, just let them out.
Interesting. Yeah, you know what? The Ninth Circuit, I hear, seems to be getting a little better under him. But it's just it's really not enough, and I can sympathize with what you're saying. I like that he is pardoning some people, and I see it as a defense of men because there's a crazy attack on men. Anything manly like Blackwater, what an awesome name, Blackwater. They're government contractors made up of military veterans, U.S. military veterans who love America, right? Generally, maybe they're like neocon, maybe they're into this meddling in foreign wars type stuff, right? But basically, at heart, they're kind of like manly. And that is hated by the female-minded. Oh, they're not showing any remorse. They're not showing any emotion, as if that has any bearing on the law. But that's what some of these judges reference. It's ridiculous. So, yeah.
Well, when I was in the fallen state, I married a single woman, and I raised my stepson from age like 0 to 10. But me and her got divorced. But so we and him would still hang out, and I was very clear with him. I was like, "I'm not your dad. I'm not your stepdad. Me and you are just friends, and we're just hanging out. So you have an outlet. Your mom's poor, but we can go to Six Flags and stuff together." And he said, "Cody, the kids at my school say Donald Trump is Hitler." And I said, "Oh man, I wish." And now I'm not allowed to hang out with him anymore. But one last thing before I go, I just want to say, America was absolutely instrumental in helping the entire world absolutely lose World War II. Have a good day.
Interesting. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, Cody. Take care. Nice to hear from you, Cody. Shout out to... Is it bad if I shout out to the Proud Boys? Is it bad for my... Never mind. Merry Christmas, Hake, says Cold Smoke Bear. It says, JLP says, you are black. How do you respond? My soul is black. People say that I act a lot like Jesse. I'm not trying to. I'm not. But you're going to jail for the shout out, says Chris. What a mess. Let me just keep on moving. Let me get to Samuel in Sweden. Samuel, what's up?
Well, I want to call and wish you a Merry Christmas, Hake.
Thank you, Samuel. By the way, guys, check out Samuel the Swede on YouTube. I loved hearing those Christmas songs on your previous Sunday's episode. Those were nice. He played the guitar and sang, guys. Check him out. That was cool. Merry Christmas to you too, Samuel.
Yeah, thanks. And, I usually call in and talk about my upcoming stream, but I think I would try to look back at the year 2020, perhaps the best memes of this year and some simple things like that, keep it easy.
Cool. That's a nice idea. I like it.
Yeah. It seems like if you want to recap this year, it will just be COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. It's pretty crazy this way, but
yeah.
But as the experts said on the Yes Elite Tradition show, that it has been a really good year for us that live with God. It's been an amazing year for me.
Cool, man. I'm glad to hear that. It was encouraging to hear the experts of the Jesse Lee Peterson show talking about what a great year it's been for them as well. Because all you hear on social media, oh, I'm so done with 2020. Everybody's all negative about it and mad at the lockdowns, which are unjust, I say. They are evil, but you can still thrive even in times of evil. Nice. I appreciate that, Sam.
I'm done, So, Merry Christmas.
All
and
right.
Have a nice week.
Okay. You too. Take care. Very nice. Let me talk to Robert in Kansas. You know how President Trump called out Iran for allegedly doing rocket attacks or having some hand in the rocket attacks somehow. Maybe they made the rockets on a Baghdad thing that was ours. Robert, what's up?
Hey, Merry Christmas, brother.
Thank you. Same to you. Merry Christmas.
So I wanted to talk about what's going on with Iran. I believe it is a part of the continuation of the war on white nations. The thing about Iran...
I've heard that.
The thing about it is they've been able to resist what normally... what I call the synagogue of Satan. What they like to do is they like infiltration and subversion. And if we look around our nation, we can see that plainly.
Right.
They start with abortion and baby murder, and then they move to perversion. And before long, you have transgendered 3-year-olds, right? So that's what they prefer to do to nations. But Iran has resisted that. They haven't been subverted. There is no baby killing in Iran. There is no perversion, gay marriage, all that. None of that is there.
Nice.
And so they're trying to now take them over in a kinetic war and also by economic blockade. And so that's really what the global government is doing to, it's doing it to Venezuela as well. But it's any nation state that won't basically play ball with the central bankers. And so that's why they demonize Iran, Venezuela, and other places like that. And
I hadn't heard that about Venezuela. Go on.
Yeah. I was going to say, Trump, I'm proud of him in a way because he has talked a game. He has talked a good game on those nations.
Yeah.
However, he hasn't openly gone into a new war.
I like that too.
So he's a smart man, and I think he might be playing at a very high level that is hard for us to understand. And so maybe he does have to have the rhetoric which says, you better not do this, Iran, all this stuff. But he hasn't launched a new war, right? So it's one thing about him where I am proud of our president that he hasn't openly started anything new, and he's talking about pulling troops out of those areas. So I do believe that's one reason why you see so much hatred for Trump, is that he refuses to do what the bankers want him to do. And they want to take over every single nation in the world, and they want to put taxation on the people, which is a form of enslavement.
Yeah.
And so the nations that resist that, you see them now under massive attack from the global order. So, I just want to say it is about that. It's because they've done so well. They actually have fathers in control of their families in Iran, and that makes a strong nation. And so that's what they want to destroy.
I've heard from some of the Armenians that they don't necessarily have a problem with Iran or Syria, that those are generally not anti-Christian countries, is what what I think he has said. One of my Armenian friends. And they are living in that area, I think.
Absolutely. Armenia is a Christian nation, and that's one reason why they're going after them so hard, is that they actually have a Christendom, that their government is Christian. They don't have abortion there and things like that. You look at our government, we have abortion, we have gay marriage. Obviously, America is no longer a Christian nation, or none of that would exist.
That's kind of an interesting, that's kind of true, man. I can't really argue with that point.
Yeah.
I think it's a mistake for some people to side with, the Israel-Palestine conflict, right? Israel is alleged, from what I'm hearing, Israel is kind of encroaching or expanding into Palestine's territory, and there's disputed territory, and Palestine wants from the such and such to the sea, Palestine shall be free, which is supposed to be a signal that they don't want Israel to exist. And
the thing about that, Hake, is if you look at something called the Greater Israel Project, that's why we went to war in Iraq. I was part of that theater. That's why we smashed Syria very recently. They have a plan to expand Israel basically across the Middle East, and they're using American blood and money to do it.
So they don't. So in short, you're saying that Israel doesn't want them to exist as a country either, or as a people.
Well, no.
Interesting.
No, they want Greater Israel. Greater Israel goes from the Euphrates River to the Mediterranean up into Turkey and down into Saudi Arabia. It's a huge area of land that they're seeking to eventually take over. And they just went in there and, we killed 1 million Iraqis when we went there, and we smashed their infrastructure, like, their electric, their water, everything that makes it possible to live a decent life. And it's all an act of long-term warfare to take over that entire area. And
I think that it's a mistake, though, to take the side of, like, the victims in that fight, like Palestine. People say, oh, we should free Palestine, or there's some people who are not anti-white or who are pro-white who say, oh, I support Palestine over Israel. But I think that that's a mistake, because the Palestinians have this victim mindset, and then they come here, they're also anti-white, and they act, from what I've heard, Jason Lee Peterson told this story 10 years ago on his Sunday service, which premiered yesterday night as a nice reprise, that the Palestinians don't build up their own stuff and instead just look all mad at the Israelis who have, although they may be degenerate, they're building nice stuff. It's kind of like the Asians come in here. They may not be pro-America, but they build up nice areas. Or the whites here, they may not be moral anymore, but they build up nice places to live still. It sounds like it's a lot like blacks and some Hispanics that may not be building up their own communities, but they're just jealous of the whites and the Asians for building up their stuff.
Yeah, I certainly agree with a lot of that, Hake. You're not wrong. The thing about it, the people occupying Palestine today are actually Central Asians. They're actually Asians. They're not really white. And
does that include Rashida Tlaib?
Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, those are actually Ilhan Omar is actually Jewish, just like Obama. They're actually Jews.
But I'm talking about. But you said they're Asian. You're talking about the Palestinians are actually Asians, Central Asians. I was asking if that includes Rashida.
No, Central Asian Khazars. They're up from an area kind of just south of Russia. Is where the tribe occupying what we call Israel today. It's not real Israel. They have that 6-pointed star on their flag. I mean, if you figure out what that means, that'll tell you everything you need to know. But the Palestinian situation, Hake, is such that, like, let's say me and a few of my friends come to your house and we move in, right? And eventually we push you all the way into one single bedroom. We have the whole house, right? And you start punching through the wall saying, no, this is my house, and then I call you a terrorist. That's kind of what's happening to the Palestinians, is that they're being pushed into corners of land that you can't even farm, you can't even do anything with, and they're being genocided. So, I mean, if they're mad at the people that are killing them, well, I mean, hey, I don't know what else you could be but mad at them. At the same time, I don't hate a Jewish person or anything like that, and I don't want to. I say some, hyperbolic things like bomb Israel, stuff like that, and I don't necessarily mean bomb people that are in Israel that don't even. They're just as innocent as most Americans are. They don't really know the exact game, right? So I don't really mean that, but. At the same time,
but you're kind of acting like those people that want to destroy whiteness. They say, I don't mean destroy white people, but they want to kill whiteness, and it's kind of like an evil. So I don't know. Check yourself, man. We'll talk more later. I got to run. But Merry Christmas, Robert. Appreciate the info. Take care.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Hey, bye.
Bye. There's some callers who want to respond to him, but first, let me get to Brian in Syracuse. Oh, hang on, Brian. Let me actually get to Mandla out of South Africa. Mandla, make sure you speak up loud and clear because you're coming across a little muffled. So stay close to your phone. Mandla, how are you doing? Oh, he's not ready.
Hi, Hake.
Oh, hey. Yeah, I can hear you. Go for it.
Yes. I was I just thought you wanted to actually comment on the thing that you spoke about now, like the Israel thing, because I feel like many Christians actually identify with Israel, which is not supposed to be the case. They feel like if you don't identify with Israel, then you are anti-Israel. And then, the thing is, they forget that they are actually Palestine Christians that are Christians. So
there are Christian Palestinians.
Yeah. So
I've heard that.
I don't understand the logic. Yeah. So also.
Well, there's a Bible verse.
I'm not sure about.
Let me explain the logic, because there's from what I've heard. Right, I haven't really looked into it, but from what I've heard. Growing up, people say, and it's in the Bible, something about if you curse Israel, I will curse you. If you bless Israel, I will bless you. So that's part of the reason. And that's where Jesus grew up and stuff like that. So that's the reason. Remember
when John was baptizing the people, he said, I can make children of Abraham even out of these rocks.
Yeah, like the Gentiles becoming
So
into
that
God's
means
fold. Yes.
then later on in the Bible it says that we no longer consider the physical Israel, but the spiritual Israel.
Yeah,
The
yeah. The
physical-
spirit is much more important. Yeah, not all who are descended from Israel are Israel, as the Bible says. Yep.
Yeah, so now you no longer look at the physical land or the land where Israel is.
Okay.
It is not important in your walk.
All right. Thank you, man.
So let's say they were to like defeat Israel, it wouldn't have any bearing because you are now the new Israel.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, because the thing that they use like Revelation as their marker that Israel will all those Revelation markers, because that Revelation stuff is about, it could actually apply to you, the actual Israel. Because they use a lot of interpretation. Like, it's a lot of the Bible something, actually.
You know,
To tell you the truth.
what they said about, I'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, it kind of applies to anybody. You can't be hating anybody. You should love everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And fight for yeah, so I do not understand. Yeah, because I even hear it in like South Africa. There's a lot of people that support that stuff. Yeah, but I'm just hoping that the great if it's God's will, because I say let God's will be done. Unlike those preachers that are out there preaching for Trump, it's insane. But yeah, hopefully the great Dwight Hope makes it.
I hope so too. It would be a great. Wouldn't that be a great Christmas present? Second term.
And then
but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
But then I think that. Yeah, but though I think like the hands-off approach of Trump is really bad. I think it's bad. They're not getting involved in the wars of other countries because of the USA, countries have been able to be free because of them. So if they do the hands-off approach, it puts the countries in a dilemma, because the countries like Korea wouldn't have been there. South Korea wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for the U.S.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's a really mixed bag. There's a lot of evil that has come about. Some of it maybe not intended, but it happened anyways from our meddling. And the people who are pushing for us to meddle right now, on the whole, maybe not with regard to South Africa, but with regard to some of these other countries, those are not people to be trusted. Yeah. And the people making the policies are enemies.
I heard the previous caller actually praising Iran. That was crazy.
You don't agree with him?
That was a myth.
It's a myth?
I think it's a myth. It's a myth.
Okay.
It's a serious myth. Yeah, because it is a Muslim country, and like there are still the blasphemy laws there.
Yeah, there's still. Yeah, I don't know. There's.
Doesn't make sense.
I think there's decent and evil people in every country and fighting, even at the leadership level. Maybe the leadership of some of these countries are worse than others, but yeah.
I think the good thing with Iran is that actually there's a huge underground Christian, because many of the people are actually leaving because of the work of these other people that are exposing Muslims, like showing the truth of the Quran and all that stuff like that. So like a large majority of the youth, so they've been trying to like actually keep them. It's like, because even the calls, you find a lot of calls of like conversions and stuff like that, but because of the blasphemy laws, you can't say it public.
Oh, I didn't know that Iran had blasphemy laws. Anyway, Mandla, I gotta run. Merry Christmas to you. Appreciate you, man.
Merry Christmas.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Take care.
Thanks.
Oh, man. Okay. Let me just double check the super chats. How they Indians if they got palaces and stuff? Yo? Asks Lin Yan Chin, and I cleaned it up a little bit. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Lin Yan Chin. He asks, how are they Indians if they have palaces and stuff? Yo? I'm not sure, but thank you. Oh, man. Okay. I have so much I want to get to. But we're coming to the end of the hour. Let me quickly get to Brian in Syracuse, New York. He wants to talk about allegations against another man. There's always allegations against somebody, and I'm not familiar with this particular case, Ravi Zacharias. Brian in Syracuse, New York, what's up?
What's going on, Hake? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What's up?
Good, good. So, yeah, I wasn't sure if you heard about the allegations or not. Ravi Zacharias is like pretty much a world-famous ministry.
Ravi Zacharias. Let me explain to the people who he is. Whoa.
Okay.
He's not alive right now? Oh, he died.
No,
he died back in May.
Yeah, probably like 6 months ago.
Oh, so they're smearing the dead. Was an Indian-born Canadian-American, if you can keep track of that, Christian apologist, author of more than 30 books on Christianity, including the Evangelical Christian Publishers Association Gold something something. Born in Chennai, India in 1946, died May 19th, 2020. And that doesn't sound too old. That sounds like he's, 70, just over 74. That's a young age to be dying. But yeah, they're trying to hashtag me too a dead man. That's pretty evil, sounds like to me.
Yeah.
On
so
the part of the accusers, that is.
Everything I've read so far has been like, we're doing an internal, actually I think it's an external investigation. The ministry basically allowed some type of outside agency to come in and investigate.
Yeah.
And they've come out with a quote-unquote preliminary conclusion to find that there was misconduct, but they won't say what it was. Like, what's the point of even coming out and saying you found something? And, I'm just having a wait-and-see attitude with this. Like, you can say all you want, but if it's going to come back with, well, these women said something, but that's all the proof you got, it's easy to accuse a dead man.
Yep, very true. It's kind of like they've done that to... They did that to, I think, Michael Jackson, the singer, the pop singer, the king of pop. They tried to call him all kinds of names. I don't think he was ever found guilty of stuff. I think it might have been people reading into stuff that he said. So, yeah, it's a shame that people do that to him. In fact, I'm not even honestly interested in stuff like that. Like, I'm not even really interested in reading it because these are evil people who are interested in this stuff. Shame on the organization. I think when the leader of such and such organization dies, I think generally that organization should close down because the organization becomes like a fake ghost, a fake shell of what it once was. You know what I mean? Like this stuff that's called the Reagan Battalion or what's her name's Eagle Forum, Phyllis Schlafly, the great Phyllis Schlafly. Although the guy, her son, seems like he might be an okay guy. But I don't think that these organizations, after their leader, their founder dies, they should rename themselves or something because they can say, oh, yeah, this is an offshoot from his thing, but it's not him anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I even thought the same thing, too, like, whatever. If they come to the quote-unquote conclusion that he did something, like, are you going to ask people to donate money to somebody who raped other people? Like, how do you even go on with that? He's
right.
Dead, like, call it something else.
It sounds evil to me.
It's funny you bring up Michael Jackson, though, because when I was a kid, 2009, I think he died, so I was just graduating high school. My dad used to always say, he didn't believe any of the allegations versus Michael.
Nice.
And if anything, like, why are you a parent sending your kid there if you think that's what's going on? Like, that's obviously just a money grab.
Right. Yeah, it is. I do question the people that would send their children to hang out with Michael Jackson. Although I don't believe the sexual stuff. He's a weird guy, and he's like he's a stranger. They don't know.
Exactly. But he's got money, so send him there, right? So you can just say his kid did something. It's funny, though, because when he died, it was my senior year of high school, I decided to go down to New York City, which is about 4.5, 5 hours from my hometown in Syracuse, and I went to Harlem. And you would have thought the Pope was in town. They had Michael Jackson mugs, shoes, CDs, like hands with his face on it, like it was crazy. So, nobody in Harlem believed Michael did none of that, and if they did, I guess they didn't care.
Right. Yep. Yeah, they're very selective. I read a report that Big Bump sent me about this woman named Jamila Lemieux. She's some liberal black female, right? And she said, if Bill Cosby was for us, supported Black Lives Matter and the progressive, dumb, socialist, communist, black degeneracy, destruction, self-destruction, then we wouldn't be so quick to turn our backs on him. But because they were, in fact, I think it's more than just that. It's because he wasn't with them on that they went after him with the fake, sexual accusations. And just because 50 or 60 something women accused him, they took that to be evidence. Give me a break.
Yeah, because a bunch of married women went up to his apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden they woke up with a headache.
Right.
I mean, what did they think was happening? You're going to play cards at 2 in the morning with a married guy, and you're married?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Everybody wants to be a victim.
Right. Very true, man. And victims are pathetic, as JLP says, and he's right. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. All right, guys, I will get back to callers. Bible go-to guy as a response for Robert on Israel, etc. And Donald in Michigan, a first-time caller, says Christmas is pagan and wrong. Very nice. I will get to you next, Donald. Hang tight for a couple of minutes here. I'm going to get to the rest of hour 2. And, of course, I got to get to some of these stories. But I will have them written down on my blog post for today, so you can follow up there as well. thehakereport.com/blog. It'll be up later. All right, guys, hang tight for the rest of hour 2. I think. Oh, I get it. What's up, guys? I'm back. Lin Yun Chin had asked how they Indians if they got palaces and stuff, yo? And he says that was a play on Palestinians. Anyway, hope y'all the best. Thank you, Lin Yun Chin. Merry Christmas. Lin Yun Chin says Merry Christmas all year. Nice. By the way, this foreign aid thing and the and that stimulus thing, the COVID-19 relief bill. So there were cowards reportedly trying to stop President Trump. Jack Posobiec on Twitter, he's with One American News Network, I believe now, said some White House advisors tried to stop Trump from making the $2,000, that video about the $2,000, wanting $2,000, saying it was ridiculously low, that $600, but he vetoed them. Nice. GOP leadership wanted to talk afterward, but the president said there was nothing more to talk about. Like that. And the Epoch Times says lawmakers on both sides are blocking the changes to that CCP virus bill, the COVID relief bill. But Trump won't even have to veto it. He can just let it die, because I think Congress goes on break January 3rd or something like that. I don't know. So he can just let it die in what's called a pocket veto by just, without even writing, oh, I veto this. So they won't be able to necessarily override him. Nice, huh? Cool. Let me first get to Donald, a first-time caller in Michigan. Says Christmas is pagan and wrong, I think. Maybe. Donald, what's up?
What's up, man?
Hey.
How's it going?
Fine.
All right, well...
I feel like I shouldn't say Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, no, I don't take part in that.
How do you respond when people say Merry Christmas to you?
I don't hate them for it. I just observe them.
Right, but how do you respond in practice? Like, what do you do or say when they tell you that?
Look cool, or just bow my head, yeah.
Are you on a speakerphone or something? You're coming in like...
No, I'm on my microphone, actually.
Are you not able to be on regular phone?
Yeah, let me do that.
Yeah, it's coming in kind of rough.
Sorry about that.
So you're gracious, you just say thanks or cool?
No, there's people, you know how Jesse says, oh, Bible thumpers, right? It's funny. It is true, because even Satan knows the Bible.
Yeah.
That's true. You'll have people come up to you and they'll read you scriptures and holy out thou they are. But, even Satan knows the Bible.
But I'm talking about when somebody says, oh, Merry Christmas, Donald.
No, just say thanks or whatever. That's not my religion or not my practice.
Oh, you tell them, though, that's not my practice?
Yeah.
Oh.
Pretty much. Yeah.
You don't ever just say thanks?
Well, sometimes. I guess it depends on
the situation.
Moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moment. I'm not perfect, so it'll come out. But I wanted to tell you something about Jeremiah. It says, thus says the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. This is in chapter 10. And it says, for the custom of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree, one of a forest, and work of hands of a workman with axe. They deck it with silver and gold, fasten it with nails and with hammers, and it not move. Now, the question is what they were doing. It's not what they were doing, is why they were doing it.
Yeah.
Why were they decking out a tree? And then if you go back to the roots of Christmas, it's Saturnalia.
They were doing
Romans.
that. They were doing that to worship it or something like that, as an idol?
Yeah, pretty much. Saturnalian, you look at Saturnalian and the Romans and pagan stuff that was going on. And then they weren't just doing that. They were getting really high on red and white mushrooms, which I can't say the word correctly.
Yeah, I don't need you to say the word necessarily. But they were getting high on the red and white mushrooms?
Yeah, red and white mushrooms. That's reindeer like them too as well. If you want to write that, you can just look into it. Take it as a grain of salt and look into it. It's interesting stuff.
So you're paralleling what's in Jeremiah 10 about the Christmas tree today.
Right.
Well, to the pagan practice of Saturnalia. Saturnalians did the Christmas tree thing first. Well, they didn't call it Christmas. They called it
Saturnalia.
Yeah. But they had a tree.
Yeah, it says through December 25th is the day of Christians celebrate the birth of Jesus, which, Jesus didn't even tell you when he was born.
I heard it might have been April.
Right. And it's funny, you got that. Ever heard of Zeitgeist?
Zeitgeist?
Yeah, it's so easily to debunk. They tried to put all the Egyptians gods and say Christianity stuff. No, there's one of them that was born of a rock. Come on.
What are you talking about?
Zeitgeist, where they try to put Horus and Nimrod, all of them, and try to say that all Christianity stole.
Oh, okay.
The idea of, it's just a mess.
Is that a movie?
No, it was pretty big. It was going on in like probably 2000.
I remember hearing, like, I had an atheist friend, for example, right? And he would say, "Oh, Christianity is just based off of such and such person, or such and such."
They didn't go any further detail. They didn't research that one of the pagan gods was born of a rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's funny. Satan tries so hard to.
I mean, I see it as, well, I mean, the people have catch glimpses of the truth, and they may mix truth with their little belief thing. Who cares? It doesn't prove anything either way, honestly. But yeah, the atheists do try to debunk the existence of Jesus and stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
All the time, don't they? They try to match up to pagan gods, which, I mean, my opinion, were fallen angels, sons of God, or Baha Elohim, or the Nephilim, which I'm sure they worshiped back then. Have you seen, like... Did you
grow up not celebrating Christmas with your parents?
I grew up celebrating Christmas here and there. I mean, I didn't have the childhood. I didn't have the privilege, which is not white privilege. I think privilege is when you have both mothers and fathers. That's a privilege.
Yeah.
But,
that's what it's supposed to be. So your parents were separated or something?
No, my father was in prison, so I never really met him until he did his time.
Okay.
And then he passed away after that, so really didn't bond with him too much. But
your mother wasn't that into Christmas, so every now and then you would celebrate it, but not always.
Yeah, she really wasn't into holidays. My mother was a bat-nut crazy woman, so she was all over the place with everything. I observed. I didn't fully hate. Like when I heard about Jesse, right? As soon as I heard him in one video, I already identified with everything he said. He didn't even have to tell me something I didn't already know.
Yeah.
So it's like, I suppose those that go within themselves and not materialistic, I suppose, would be able to resonate with him. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But yeah, Christmas to me is just strange. And then they got Santa trying to come in and knock out Yeshua.
But so Santa is just Saint Nick. He's not trying to do that. He's just a saint. Saint Nicholas, right?
No, he's a mushroom head dude.
Come on.
Yeah, he eats mushrooms. I mean, if you look really deep into it.
No, but the real Saint Nicholas wasn't a bad guy, was he? Or was he?
St. Nicholas? I mean, some dude that used to go running around and getting high on mushrooms.
You really think that's the case? Where are you? Never mind. I won't even get into that. All right. So but you're smearing a dead man. You're like those people that, well, maybe not as bad, but you're kind of like those people that are trying to smear Ravi Zacharias or Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson? I mean, no, I wouldn't smear them. I just look at the history. Even pagans know it.
But but we don't really know history because we just know what they claimed about whatever happened. And look at the news today. Look at how biased and full of lies the news today is.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what history is going to be in 100 years. The lies that they may well say about the president and us and Christians and whites. So we can't really trust. I don't believe that we can necessarily trust the history that we read.
I suppose I understand that. I mean, because I had a discussion with you on Hebrew cosmology on YouTube at one time.
Okay.
I suppose you could be correct about that, but when I go to the verses, they decked the tree with silver and gold and fastened with hammers. Now, I mean, the question isn't what they were doing; is why they were doing that.
Yeah.
That's where I want to get down. Don't practice the way of the heathen. Don't learn not the way of the heathen. So that right there would be a very good way to go about it. And I understand what you're saying, but I got a lot of pagan friends that will be like, Christians celebrate Halloween and Christmas. They're so pagan.
Right. But I mean, isn't pagan just white?
Pagan white? Pagan. This is my opinion. I'm not saying it's fact or truth.
Yeah.
Okay, pagans worship fallen angels, fallen gods. They call aliens, but they're not aliens.
Yeah.
They're just fallen. You know, the ones that rebelled, and giants, born giants, and stuff like that. They worship those type of beings. They worship strange creatures.
We should stick with the truth. But I think that most of the Christians who are celebrating Christmas and they get a tree, maybe some of them worship the tree or worship whatever because they don't have the real God in them, and so they'll worship things, which is a problem that most of us have. Like we worship women, or we worship food, or we worship everything, right? Just anything but the real God. So I get that, but it seems kind of Nazi-ish. I'm kind of joking with the Nazi thing, but it seems overzealous or like taking it too seriously to condemn it as necessarily an idol worship thing.
I suppose. I mean, I still don't take no part in it. I mean, I don't like the Nazi thing. You know how you?
Yeah, you definitely don't have to.
Yeah, like how you, since you mentioned about Nazis. I mean, it's quite. I find it most bizarre. You got Antifa, right? You would agree Antifa they scream they don't like Nazis, right? Right. Why they don't go to NASA? I mean, they hired, after Operation Paperclip, over 1,000 Nazi SS members?
Because those were the smartest guys. Yeah, that's an interesting question. They probably will eventually. I mean, they don't want America to exist at all. So, in a sense, in essence, they're going after NASA too. But NASA is no longer pro necessarily. They're not so pro man, for example. They're promoting women going into space and stuff like that. So they're kind of soft,
feminine spirit.
Yeah, they have the same spirit basically as Antifa.
Man, it's so strange. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I was a teenager, dude, I'm not going to lie, I thought women were my god. I knew something was wrong with me. And, it's all because my mama turned me away from all this stuff and all that mess. And I knew something was wrong with me. I didn't realize it until I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
That, man, dude, I am chasing after nothing.
Right.
Like, nothing. That's why I say you hate. The reason why I actually don't have hate, this is the best way I can explain it, is because you dwell on it.
Yeah.
You stay stuck in that time while time passed, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. It stunts your growth, totally. I appreciate it, Donald. It's great talking with you. I got to cut you off. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I am 31 years. I forget, man, dude. I don't even keep track of my age. I'm not going to lie.
One of those.
31.
31. Okay. Well, Merry Christmas. Don't take it the wrong way, but Merry Christmas, Donald. Nice to hear from you.
Yep, you too.
All right. Take care, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope the vent is closed in here. I hear that the heater's on outside. Let me get to Bible go-to guy in Los Angeles, California. Wants to respond to Robert about Israel. Oh, he just disconnected. Let's get to Skip in Augusta, Georgia. Skip, what's up?
Hey, Hake, how you doing today?
Fine. How are you?
Oh, I guess I'm about fair to middle. If I start bragging about how good I'm doing, then something bad will happen to me.
You think like that, really?
No, I'm just playing with you.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of Christians talk about that Jeremiah scripture too, and actually it is describing a Christmas tree.
Okay.
If you read that and look at it, it's just actually describing a Christmas tree, and he is telling you not to worship like the pagans are doing.
Yeah.
And then I know another guy, a preacher. He's dead now, but he used to say, people say, "Well, I don't bow down to the Christmas tree," and he said, "Well, you bow down to it every time you put a present up under it, and every time you pick a present up from under it, you bow down to it." So.
That's why I don't buy presents for people.
Yeah.
No, that's not why.
Here,
just because I'm trifling. Lazy.
There was a couple things I was going to talk to you about. Melinda Gates, which is Bill Gates' wife.
Yeah.
She it's all in the news where she's saying that the blacks should be the first priority after the the medical people getting the coronavirus shot.
Oh gosh.
He says that the blacks should get it first. Now look here, I'm not black by any means, but when I heard that, I'd be darned if it didn't sound kind of suspect to me, you know.
Interesting point.
It's just, yeah, are they wanting to kill the blacks out or what, you know?
Maybe the Tuskegee Project was well-meaning. Maybe they were trying to protect the blacks, but accidentally messed them up with those experiments.
Well,
I don't know. It's a good point, Skip. That could be taken in many ways. You know, I think that they should prioritize fat people and unhealthy people and old people.
Yeah.
And that could be taken badly, too. I think the people who want it, who are those things, should get the priority, because the people who don't want it should not get it. I think it's evil to try to force somebody.
They ain't got to worry about me taking it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that rascal. They're going to have to hold me down and enforce it on me.
Was her supposed reason about the blacks getting it because blacks are more susceptible to this thing?
Yep. So it should be priority to them first.
Yeah.
Like she really cares about the blacks.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just posturing. Yeah. These people are really sick. Totally.
And you know,
women are so phony. Well, sometimes.
when you opened up the show, you were talking about the coronavirus numbers and how they're faking them. Like people can have a car wreck, and because they got tested for corona a week earlier and was positive, they died from coronavirus.
Yeah.
Do you know who is benefiting out of this real good and saving billions of dollars?
Who's that?
That's your insurance companies. Because, you know, when you die of natural causes, they pay the face value. But if you die of an accident, like a car crash or shooting something, it's called double indemnity. They have to pay double the face value of the insurance policy.
Wow.
So when they write on the birth death certificate, did they die from coronavirus? Then that saves the insurance companies from having to pay out double indemnity. Did you know that?
I did not know that, and that's why all of this government meddling with the private companies and stuff is just a corrupting influence. It leads to all sorts of shenanigans and tricks and lies being pulled, and it takes away from the integrity of or the honesty in what's going on. I mean, it just brings it. It's an added temptation for dishonest people or people who are subject to that temptation to lie and pull this or that. It's such an obvious thing to say, to overblow the COVID thing for political purposes, for power, for attacking Trump, for attacking people who are trying to think for themselves and see and question things that are going on, like you, like me, like so many of us. Smear us as conspiracy theorists or truthers or whatever, when these are people who are liars. So corrupt.
And what's so funny is the left is doing everything they accuse Trump and the right of doing, of being guilty of. They're doing the same exact thing.
Yep. Communists. Yep. Very true, man. Well, so do you do Christmas?
Well, I don't celebrate it, but I don't go out of the way to go tell nobody Merry Christmas. I used to joke with my youngest daughter a good bit. She's I think she's 27 or 28 now. She came down a few years ago before I had this stroke, and when her and her husband came in, they wanted to know where my Christmas tree was. And I told them I ain't got no Christmas tree. I don't put up no Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. And then of course I went into the Jeremiah scripture.
Okay.
And I went into a whole bunch of different things, you know, and how Jesus was born on the 25th, and what the 25th of December actually symbolizes, and all that. And of course, she didn't want to hear it, and I really didn't want to get into it too good.
Yeah.
And she came down the next year. And about a week before she came down, she called me, and she said, "Daddy," she said, we're gonna pick you up a Christmas tree on the way." on the way down. You just get your big one, just a small one.
You're breaking up, Skip. Stay close to your phone.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay. And I told him, I said, you better not come to my house with no damn Christmas tree.
Dang.
I said, you better drop it off. Somewhere. I ain't got no room for no Christmas tree in my house.
Wow.
And here's something. I was just playing with it,
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, I've heard preachers say, and it kind of makes sense. When you bring certain statues and certain things in your house, it's paganistic, like voodoo statues and stuff.
Yeah.
You bringing evil into your house. You're inviting evil into your house.
Right.
Have you ever heard that?
I have heard that, and I've heard the same thing when you do drugs or you have sex and all that stuff. You're inviting evil in, and you don't understand what you're doing. Yeah. Ouija boards and all that stuff. Ouija boards? Yeah. I wouldn't go near a Ouija board. I don't know if that's just trauma, because I was taught negatively about it as a kid. But, yeah. It's interesting, man.
You're inviting evil into your house. I truly believe that. And
maybe that's why America's losing, because we do Christmas trees.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a lot more than just Christmas trees. But we,
for sure.
We're not a Christian nation anymore. Like Jesse says, we have gone so far astray. I actually remember I called a long time ago, and I was talking to you about this real popular TV show that comes on where they dress up in these suits, and they try to guess who it is inside of those suits. I can't even remember the name of the show. You know what I'm talking about?
I vaguely remember that call. And so they would dress up in these masks and things like that?
Well, they got these costumes on, and you can't tell who's inside of it. I don't remember the name of the show, but that was so paganistic. I mean, we love all this stuff.
Yeah.
And look at your games now. We used to play Pac-Man when I was a kid.
Yep.
Pac-Man and asteroids and stuff.
Yeah,
and
me
now,
too.
You've got these games with killing and all this stuff, and it's all about evil. I mean, we love, we as a people, not individually, but as a whole, it seems like we love that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you Gen X? Are you Gen X or Boomer? Do you know?
Well, I turned 55 last week, so I don't know what I am.
55?
I'm old and broken down. Mm-hmm.
You're Gen X, I think.
Gen X?
Yeah,
I've been called a lot of things in my life, but I ain't never been called no Gen X.
I think you're on the older end of the Generation X.
Yeah, well.
Anyway.
I don't know. Well, look at here. I just want to call you and talk to you about that. And black folks, don't you fall for that trick now and go get you on a coronavirus shot.
Yeah.
Because, well, you think about it, Hake. They have rushed this virus vaccine quicker than any other vaccine in history.
Yeah.
And I don't believe they could actually have the time to find out if it's safe or not, you know?
Yeah, it is interesting, man. I like, the only thing I like about it is that President Trump was behind it, but even still, I don't plan on taking it, and I recommend people look into it for themselves to see if it's something that they trust.
I don't believe Fauci and all these people that are going on camera and getting the vaccine in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That could be saline water in that.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And those are the worst people in the world, people that you do not want to follow, including Marco Rubio, by the way. But AOC, Elizabeth Warren, yeah. And then there was one guy who got it with the thing already plunged. He didn't even get any injection other than just a dry needle.
I didn't see that. I wouldn't doubt it, though.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't see it. Look it up. It was a nurse who, I think it was a male nurse, who got the needle stuck into him, but the plunger was already pushed, so it was an empty needle. And of course, no air in it, right? Because you can kill somebody by putting air in your bloodstream, I hear. But, yeah, that's crazy.
It is.
Appreciate it, Skip.
I I know it's Christmas, and I'm not going. I guess I say it. I told Nick earlier. I caught myself. He said "Merry Christmas," and I said "Merry Christmas" back to him. Wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
But, y'all have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourselves.
Appreciate it, Skip.
I appreciate y'all. And oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
We'll take but a minute. I used to disagree with Jesse so much when he would say that Jesus isn't God, and I really, for years and years, always thought Jesus was God. Until the other night, I was listening to a preacher, and he was talking about nobody will know the day and the time that Jesus is coming back.
Yeah.
And nobody but the Father. Jesus said that he didn't even know the day and the time. So if he was God, he would know the day and the time, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Wow. I hadn't caught that one. I know that name, that line, no man shall know the day or the hour, but I didn't know that. Did he say something like, even the Son of Man does not know? Because that was what he called himself.
I forget exactly how it was worded.
Yeah.
But it's saying that God's the only one that's going to know.
Yeah.
So if Jesus was actually God, then he would have known, wouldn't he?
Right. Wow. That's interesting, Skip. Nice.
Something to look up anyhow, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, Hake. Y'all have a good one.
All right. You too. Take care.
Talk to you later. Goodbye.
All right. Let me get back to Bible Go-To Guy. He is from Los Angeles, California. Has a response to Robert on Israel. What's up? There he goes again. Strike two. Wow. What a mess. Oh, man. Okay. Before I get... T from Alabama is going to come up next, but first, let me talk about these Trump pardons. By the way, he pardoned a bunch of more people, another 26 people, according to the Epoch Times. Maybe since the time I've been on air, he's pardoned even more people. Who knows? Maybe he'll pardon Julian Assange or Kyle John Wick, Jack Bauer Rittenhouse, or whatever. I will get to more of your calls. Hang tight, guys. Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, right on. Bible Go-To Guy says, that's the second time I've cut myself off, so I'm not going back, but Merry Christmas to all. Right on, Bible Go-To Guy. Guess it just wasn't meant to be. But I noticed that President Trump, those pardoned by President Trump, CNN, the Communist News Network, right? And others cast those people in the least sympathetic way possible. For example, one CNN headline initially appeared to be Blackwater contractors and George Papadopoulos and ex-lawmakers are pardoned by Trump. The most privileged people, some guy who was in his administration, George Papadopoulos, and Blackwater contractors. And if you were paying attention to the news 12, 15 years ago, I think in 2006 or so, Blackwater was in big negative coverage in the mainstream media because I guess Iraq war veterans, I believe they were, in Blackwater were called government contractors who shot Iraqi civilians. I remember the mainstream media going crazy against Blackwater back in the day. But they make them sound like mercenaries with no loyalty to America, just heartless people in it just for the money, right? And that's not true. It's not true. The border agents were two others who were pardoned by President Trump. A couple of border agents. They were not named. But they had, and this is funny, extremely Hispanic-sounding names. These two border agents who were pardoned by President Trump. The way they describe them as border agents who shot an undocumented immigrant, cast the illegal alien in the most sympathetic way possible, right? And it's a total misnomer calling them undocumented immigrants, right? They didn't even kill this illegal alien. They did not kill him. They shot him, and then supposedly they tried to cover it up, right? And they're Hispanic names. Ignacio Ramos. or Nacho for short, right? Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion. Those were the two border agents that President Trump pardoned. But they tried to make it sound like there were, these white border agents shot an undocumented immigrant and covered it up back in 2006, right? And by the way, it's not surprising that some Hispanic agents might allegedly do a cover-up 14 years ago in 2006, right? I'm just saying. And border agents, it's so interesting that we hire all these Hispanics as border agents. I mean, it's better if they do speak Spanish, I guess, right? Therefore, that they can communicate with these illegals who are trying to come in, because primarily they are Hispanic illegals coming in. They try to say, it's not just Hispanics coming in. And it isn't. In some cases, Africans have come in through the southern border. It's a mess, and others too. By the way, going back to the Blackwater thing, did you know Eric Prince is the founder of Blackwater, and they changed the name, maybe because of the negative media coverage, to Academy. It's spelled Academi. So I want to say Academy, but it's really Academy, pronounced Academy. His sister, Eric Prince, who's the founder of Blackwater Academy, his sister is Betsy DeVos, Trump's Secretary of Education. Did you know that? And the DeVos family is like the 88th or something like that, richest family in America or the world, right? Worth billions of dollars. But she's pro-school choice. Right on for that, right? She was preceded by this weirdo named John King Jr. Do I have that information? I don't know if I got that in my folder. No, I don't. You know what? I can put them in there. Let me just drag these in just to show you what these people look like, just because it's kind of interesting to me. I'm putting in Betsy DeVos, Eric Prince, and John B. King. I don't know if I got Arnie Duncan, too. I don't think I did. Arnie Duncan was Obama's Secretary of Education, and then he was replaced by this John King Jr., a weirdo-looking guy. And the Obama administration was so sleazy and political with even with education. I mean, of course, right? Education, very political, right? I remember Arnie Duncan didn't want black and Hispanic kids punished for when they act up because it's discrimination. They're disproportionately punished, all right? It's ridiculous. Just defying reality. But go ahead and show these three pictures just in any order. There's Eric Prince. I wonder what kind of a man he is. Seems like an okay guy. I don't know. Eric Prince, founder of Blackwater, now known as Academy. And then his sister is Betsy DeVos. She's all smiling woman. Secretary of Education, which Reagan was supposed to close down. I don't know if Trump decided to do that, or ever wanted to do that. I know he wanted school choice. And then she took the place of this Obama guy, John B. King Jr. Thankfully, I don't remember his tenure as Secretary of Education. But that's not a face that I trust. Weird looking, I don't know what he is, but that's an Obama appointee. Anyway, I just noticed that these people that people go after, that the media go after, and the activists are like manly. Anything manly. Think about it. Football. They want to take out football because you get head injuries, right? And there may be a little bit of truth to it, but these are not the people who you trust to bring in the right solutions, right? Or Mike Tyson. They went after Mike Tyson with that They railroaded him with a rape case, according to President Trump. And Trump defends football and defends Mike Tyson. And remember that Marine who allegedly, or maybe was convicted, of stabbing a 17-year-old ISIS fighter who was captured and injured to death? President Trump, I think he pardoned him or commuted his sentence or something. There was a Marine, a great Marine who, just a manly guy. President Trump defended him because these are leftists who are going after these people. It's very motivated. Anti-America, anti-man, anti-white, anti-patriotic, anti, military hero type people. Real heroes, not John McCain types. And these Blackwater guys who allegedly so-called massacred civilians. Anybody rampantly smeared by the mainstream media. Trump knows what's up. So, more pardons, and he's fighting actual crime. Operation Legend leads to over 6,000 arrests, according to the Epoch Times, including 467 arrests for murder, according to the DOJ. And I think that has to do with, remember there was a 4-year-old boy named Legend, little black kid, cute little black boy. He was murdered or killed in the crossfire or something while sleeping, I think. Maybe some criminals fired into his home or something like that, trying to get somebody else, but he was killed in the crossfire. So they started this Operation Legend to deal with the so-called inner city violence, right? And so they're going after the violent crime because the locals aren't doing it. Because they keep on electing the worst of the worst, the people who live in those cities like Chicago and places in Georgia and all across the country. So nice. President Trump is fighting actual crime while pardoning people convicted of bogus speech crimes. So right on. Let me get to T in Alabama. He wants to talk about this stimulus bill. T, what's up?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Hey, get to my question from yesterday, man. After you hung up on me. I was asking you, and what I was trying to ask you yesterday was, okay, doing this stimulus and they putting this plan together, what they're going to give folks. Okay,
are you on a speakerphone?
Let me get you off here, man. Can you hear me? You said you hear me.
But you're coming in. I can kind of hear you, but you keep on moving around, and so you come in and out. You should never, ever be on a speakerphone. You know that.
Okay, Jesse.
What the heck?
Can you hear me now?
Way better. Why would you do that? You're stubborn.
Let me get on with my question, man.
You're stubborn.
Can I get on with question, man?
No, you're stubborn.
Okay, I'm stubborn.
Yeah,
anyway.
Listen to how much better this sounds, guys.
Can I? Okay, good.
All right, thank you. Are you going to apologize?
Okay. For what?
For being on a speakerphone every time. Beta! When it sounds so much better on a regular phone.
Okay, all right.
You're going to apologize?
Anyway, man. No.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow. Tough guy.
Yeah, wow.
How old are you?
Can I ask my question, man?
How old are you first?
Jesse taught you well, man. Jesse has trained you well. You know that? I mean, seriously.
Thank you.
Appreciate sit there and he's taught you well.
How old are you?
A fool like him.
This guy.
Old enough, man.
Old enough to know to obey. You should obey. Everybody knows not to call on a speakerphone on a radio show, and you've been calling for years, and it sounds so much better when you get on a regular phone. And he doesn't.
There, go on with the question. Are you going to continue to act like a juvenile?
I might hang up on you.
Yeah, you might. That's cool. That just shows you what type of coward you are, but that's cool.
Oh, that's okay. That's cowardice when you call in completely disrespecting everything. And coming in all nasty. It's no wonder you got banned.
Y'all get caught up.
It's no wonder.
Because y'all get caught up in y'all little feelings, man.
It's no wonder you got banned from the Jesse Lee Peterson show, T.
Yeah, because Jesse is a little punk. That's why.
He's not little and he's not a punk.
Like to say.
Back at you. Whoa. Okay. I don't allow that language on my show. This is not the Jesse Lee Peterson show.
Master Jesse said, so I figured it's okay.
I banned him. I didn't ban him. I dropped him. He knows better. Hang up already, says Adranos123. Bro, get to the point. Hang up now, Hank. Yeah. What a mess. Bad news for America, and then I will get to Henry in Pittsburgh, PA, and the rest of the callers. Hang tight, guys. T is so nasty. He's just hateful. Just, it oozes through him. We were wondering if T is aware just how malicious he's coming across. Just full of hatred. It just oozes out of his voice. So I meant to get to this yesterday. Hang on, Henry from PA. I will get to you, man. You're coming up next. The Epoch Times reports women raised more money and won more elections in 2020 than ever before. Isn't this wonderful? So between 2016 and 2020, the percentage of women candidates in gubernatorial, that's governor, running for governor, and state legislative races saw a jump. 32% in 2020 from 25% between in 2016. Wow. At least 142 women will hold seats in the next Congress, which is an all-time high. And these women push around the men so bad. Oh my gosh. By the way, there are 435 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. 435 divided by 142 is, let me do that other way around. 142 divided by 435, that is almost a third of Congress are women, I think. Well, there's 100 seats in the Senate, so 535. Let's say 535. I'm not sure what they're talking about, whether it's... Oh, man, I did it backwards again. More than a quarter. So about a quarter to a third, right, of Congress is women between the Senate and the House. In 2020 races for the U.S. House and Senate, women candidates outraised men on average. Because you see all these so-called conservatives and Republicans being like, ooh, women. Ooh, we should have Kristi Noem for president. She's... I strained my voice too much with that. She's the governor of, is it South Dakota or North Dakota that has the, that awesome monument, Mount Rushmore? Mount Rushmore. South Dakota. I guess she's, Kristi Noem is the so-called governor, a so-called conservative woman. And I admit I supported, I liked, what's her name? From Alaska. Alaska's governor before, Sarah Palin. I admit I liked Sarah Palin. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, compared to John McCain, am I right? Sarah Palin, way better. But there's Mount Rushmore. Kristi Noem is the governor of South Dakota, I guess. 2020 races, women accounted for 33% of donations to congressional candidates and 31% of donations to state-level candidates, both records. And by the way, they want to put a black female in charge of the Secretary of State, meaning in charge of elections here in the state of California. And this is not an honest black woman. This is that woman, Shirley Weber. I have some headlines and pictures of this piece of work. Female assemblyman, Democrat, Shirley Weber, who, by the way, she was one of the ones pushing. She introduced a bill, and it got approved in the state assembly, pushing reparations bill back in June of this year. Reparations for so-called African Americans. So One American News Network reported that Governor Gavin Newsom named Democrat female assemblyman Shirley Weber, this woman, who is indeed would be at risk for COVID, I would say. If COVID were around her, she should watch out. She looks not entirely healthy, and she looks not entirely young, and not entirely pretty. Let's just say that. It looks like a clown. She has an afro. Receding hair, I don't know, man. This is a laugh. Governor Newsom claims to have focused on character in choosing Alex Padilla. Alex Padilla is the current Secretary of State, so-called, in charge of the elections, a Democrat, Hispanic guy. And he's going to replace, if she gets in, Kamala Harris, a so-called senator who I don't think is even... I don't even really think that Kamala Harris is qualified to be a senator. I think you're supposed to be natural born, and I don't think she is. I think she's an anchor baby. I think her parents were legally here on student visa, but I don't think that they were, I don't know, though. I don't know. I don't think that they were citizens. But if Kamala Harris ever resigns, then and she actually becomes a Joe Biden VP. Oh, that's Alex Padilla? Oh, thank you. That's him? Wow. This woman, Shirley Weber, would become the California Secretary of State. There's more bio about her from 2017. She was so-called chased out of Arkansas as a child. She won't back down in the California Capitol. She spent 40 years as a professor. University professor, and had little ambition for higher office at 68. And that was in 2013. So she's like over 70 now. And she is an evil person. She is pushing the put black women in charge thing like crazy. There's a ridiculous LA Times article titled Column, and it's by this black woman, Erica D. Smith. Out this morning and Christmas Eve. Column says, black women lost a Senate seat. It'll cost Democrats. So black women are still not happy. The black women lost a Senate seat but got a Secretary of State. That's not good enough. So this woman is going to be Secretary of State and the black woman is still not happy. And the article, if you read the article, it is just ridiculous. I wish that white men would be this shameless in promoting white men who don't hate whites to be in office, because these people are just, they're not for actual justice. They're not. These people really aren't. It's crazy. But that's the Los Angeles Slimes for you. Let me get to Henry in Pittsburgh, PA. He wants to talk about the world right now and ask me about it. Henry, what's up?
I was just about to ask you that same question. So I'm hearing a lot of people calling into you, talking some mess, to say the least, and I just want to know what you think is going on right now, because I suspect something, but, it has not been revealed to me. Does that make sense?
You're being vague. You're being general and vague. I don't know what you're referring to. Talking mess about what? So are people talking about about?
I'm seeing something happen in the world. I suspect that it may be splitting, diverging. What do you think about that? Do you think the world is diverging between good and evil, right and wrong? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, kind of. I kind of agree with that. Like, it's never been more obvious of the female-minded, let's say, anti-Trump people for short, or anti-white, anti-men, anti-Christian people versus the people who are for Christianity and for America and for men and families and morals and stuff. Maybe. Truth, yeah. So yeah, it is. Things are becoming very clear, and I think in part Obama a little bit, President Trump definitely. Definitely President Trump.
Definitely one and then the other, huh?
And
the great deceiver and the great white hope.
Yeah. It's becoming, people are becoming kind of unmasked. And I like that.
Yeah, it's
We're opening
either
the treasure
they are
chest.
masked or they're unmasked. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
It can only be one or the other. I'm seeing a lot of people talking at and not a lot of people listening to. And that's just my experience recently. I was recently admitted to an institution, to say the least.
Are you the one who called my show and talked about the doctor's hips thrusting, and then I hung up on you?
Yeah, it was body language. I was just talking about he was rocking back and forth, and I was very specific then. So I'm going to be as vague as I need to be to stay on the line.
Are you calling from an institution now, or are you free?
Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, my dad won't let me drive myself around, so it could be considered an institution.
So you're at a house, at your dad's house. You're on house arrest.
I am currently under house arrest. You could say
you're
that.
grounded.
I've been grounded. Yeah.
How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 25, and my parents always told me that they would never ground me, actually, and I just remembered that.
Lying. Well.
Lying. Talking at. So yeah, that's what I'm experiencing. I've been grounded.
Yeah.
By people who told me that they never would, and that's a lie.
Do you resent them for lying to you and?
No, I'm just disappointed. I'm tired of being talked at and not listened to. I'm tired of people not asking me what I mean by what I say, and just writing it down and then calling the ambulance to come pick me up and take me to a psychiatric ward.
I can understand that.
Right? Like, I just want to be...
They're probably as crazy as you.
That's the thing. I didn't even need to talk to a psychiatrist. The doctor was like, Miss Psychiatrist, do you have any questions? And she said, no. So, yeah, apparently to the professionals, the people with degrees, I'm perfectly sane. So, who's wrong now?
Right.
Who's crazy now?
Well,
and it's funny because
I don't trust them either, man. So maybe you are crazy, but they just don't know it because they're crazy too.
Sure. And that's all right. I'm not judging myself for just being excited about the life I'm living. And the thing is, I came home from the hospital and I got a death stare from my mother on Earth, and then she started screaming at me that I was bipolar and manic and crazy. And then I sat down and she was screaming at me, standing over me. So that was what happened. And then
you should get away from her.
My dad was, I would love to. And then my father was standing behind her, giving me the same death stare that she was. So that was fun.
So he was he's weak and he's just following whatever her lead is?
Well, that's not for me to say. I'm not prescribing anything.
It sounds like
it is weak.
I think it's for you to say if it's true.
Okay.
Why are you?
I think it is weak, and I think my father is very fearful of the truth because he does not know the truth because he married an older woman, and I mean that's okay.
Have you?
That's fine.
Have you counseled with Jesse? Have you gotten counseling with Jesse Lee Peterson yet?
Yeah, we actually just met with my father and I.
Nice.
Met with him yesterday. It was amazing.
Yeah,
and he had a great realization.
Oh, so your dad liked it?
He loved it. And then he woke up today and started making the same mistake that he has been his entire life with me.
Well,
that's
talk. Are you surprised by that?
Not at all.
Yeah. That's to be expected, man. People don't necessarily change.
Because Jesse says when you believe a lie, no one can convince you of the truth because you're already set in your ways.
But he realized something, but he went back to his old way. That's so common.
Yeah, because he slept on it, and then he just remembered what he had remembered like every day of his whole life because he's incapable of facing the truth. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah,
that's what I see.
Before you were saying, it's not your place to say. Now you're saying it.
Right, because I heard Jesse say something to me that I'd never heard before, and I'd never even considered. He said, "We need to keep you alive."
Yeah.
And I've never heard that before. Because my dad was off working so hard to keep me out of the black neighborhoods, the ghettos of America, and the white ghettos too. You know, they exist. They're They're trailer parks. He worked so hard around the country to keep me out of a bad neighborhood that he left me with my mother, and anytime we could afford to buy meat, I choked on it because I just never got it because I was so excited to eat meat finally. Red meat.
Wow. What a mess, man.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, so he was protecting you from the outside world when the house was the real danger.
Out of order. It was really out of order.
Wow. Isn't that always the way? I appreciate it. It's good to hear from you, Henry. Merry Christmas to you.
Sorry, my dad is currently storming away and having a temper tantrum. So.
Oh, he heard you? Did he hear you?
He was, because he didn't let me drive myself, so he had to drive me where he thought I needed to go.
Oh. Well.
Yeah, I'm going to let him take a little deep breath and just settle down because that little boy is very scared, and that's okay. You're allowed to be scared.
You shouldn't be. That sounds very condescending. You shouldn't be condescending with your dad, though, man. You sound like a woman.
I'm not talking to him. I'm not talking to him, though.
I know, but you're talking about him. That sounds kind of mean.
But he wouldn't let me drive myself to the tea shop, so
that's not an excuse to be mean, though. Anyway,
I'm not being mean. I'm not talking to him. I'm talking to you.
I know
he just
about
happened to
him.
Be listening.
About
he
him,
just
though.
happened to be.
Anyway,
right, but
Henry, I gotta go, man.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
We're at the end. Okay, appreciate it, man. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Take care, man.
Thank you for answering my question. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah, nice talking with you as well. What a nice guy. Art from Ohio, I'm sorry I cannot get to you, but Merry Christmas to you. Love you guys. We'll see Sunday. Church with Jesse Lee Peterson as normal. And Monday. I will be back on Monday. Have a nice Christmas. This is Thursday, Christmas Eve of 2020. All right, guys. Oh, let me read the last Super Chats. I almost forgot. Pablo DR. Nice. Thank you for the diamond. Fabrietz gave a diamond and said, Merry Christmas, Hake. You can start the music, just kind of quiet. Ragnar0321 with a diamond said, Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you. Is that T and his hate for common sense reason? Asks Lin Yen Chin. Yeah, T, man. What a mess. Lin Yen Chin gave a diamond and said, T is caught up in pride, also known as vanity, pure mama. Heed Lin Yen Chin's words, T. Thank you guys for all the support. Merry Christmas to you. Have a nice one. And take care. Bye.